On behalf of the Dean and Chapter, I welcome you warmly to Westminster Abbey for our annual celebration of the Commonwealth. This year we look together towards a common future in which all can flourish and become what we are in the care and keeping of Almighty God. As we give thanks for our rich diversity and for our common humanity, let us pray together for peace and unity, and that we may offer one another mutual friendship and support. First, in the words of Jesus, let us pray for the coming of God's kingdom. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
The moment that you realize that true contentment can be found when we serve others, all other desires will seem so small. And the moment that you see joy in another being's eyes because of your own selfless actions, life starts to make a lot more sense. And the moment that you begin to act as the reflection of the visions that you have for a better world, things will begin to change. And the moment that you recognize your own responsibility for the betterment of others, you'll see such beauty in life. And the moment that you recognize that you'll make more of an impact by being righteous than always being right, rewards will come and fall into your lap. And the moment that you are more concerned about learning to love than to be loved, positive emotions of oceanic depths will engulf you. And the moment that you are more concerned about understanding others than to always be understood, that's when your mind will truly begin to learn. And the moment that we realize that our enemies are not physical flesh and blood, yet they are our own thoughts, peace will begin to conquer. And the moment that we overcome those inner enemies, rather than deflecting them onto others, merriment will come find you. And the moment that you are more concerned about learning to listen, rather than to always be heard, you'll hear languages that you thought your mind could never fathom. The moment that you realize that life will always be about mastering and relearning, conquering and climbing, your journey will begin to feel so smooth. And the moment that we all believe that we can change this world for the better, we will do it. Because life is but these moments where we learn, change, grow, and give. So go live your moments. Thank you.
Hi guys, thanks for watching Fox 5 Live inside the Fox 5 DC newsroom today on Monday. Happy Monday, March 12th. You can see that you're watching this live feed of UK Commonwealth Day. This is their annual celebration of the coming together of the nations that are closely allied with Great Britain. 53 of them to be exact are here. The Queen, you probably saw her walk in, Queen Elizabeth II is there. Meghan Markle making her first appearance with the Queen in the first sort of public event for both of them together. And this celebration will go on. It represents people from all different countries, the Africas, Asia, the Pacific area, Caribbean as well, and of course the Americas here coming together for a day of unity. Now, this was originally a celebration called Empire Day, started in 1902. It didn't become an annual event till 1916 when they sort of rebranded it as what it's called today, Commonwealth Day. And this year, the celebration theme is called Towards a Common Future. So there'll be some celebrations, songs, and speeches surrounding that common theme, sort of a declaration, a reminder of the bonds between Britain and these other nations. And before this celebration, the Queen shared some sentiment as well as to what she hopes is the case for today's celebration, exchanging ideas, seeing life from other perspectives, and growing in understanding in togetherness. So it's kind of exciting to see this foreign celebration. We'll stay on this for a little bit, kind of jump around to some other local feeds that we have coming in from back here in the States, including just some of the top stories from the weekend and some other stuff that's happened on Capitol Hill today, but we'll bring that to you live from our DC newsroom. So thanks for joining us. Let me know where you're watching from. Don't forget to comment in the live chat and let us know what you think. Any questions or comments, we're here in the newsroom for you, watching with you.
That differ according to the grace given to us, prophecy in proportion to faith, ministry in ministering, the teacher in teaching, the exhorter in exhortation, the giver in generosity, the leader in diligence, the compassionate in cheerfulness. Let love be genuine. Hate what is evil, hold fast to what is good. Love one another with mutual affection. Outdo one another in showing honor. Do not lag in zeal. Be ardent in spirit. Serve the Lord. Rejoice in hope. Be patient in suffering. Persevere in prayer. Contribute to the needs of the saints. Extend hospitality to strangers.
Me and all my friends who were so misunderstood. They say we stand for nothing and there's no way we ever could. Now you see everything is going wrong with the world and those who lead it. We just feel like we don't have the means to rise above and beat it. So we keep waiting, waiting on the world to change. We keep on waiting, waiting on the world to change. It's hard to beat the system, but when we're standing at a distance, so we keep on waiting, waiting on the world to change. Now if we had the power to bring our neighbors home from war, they would have never missed a Christmas, no more ribbons on the door. Now when you trust your television, well, what you get is what you got. 'Cause when they own the information, oh, they command it all they want. That's why we're waiting, waiting on the world to change. We keep on waiting, waiting on the world to change. It's not that we don't care, we just know that the fight ain't fair. So we keep on waiting, waiting on the world to change. Yeah. He's gonna rule the population, so we keep on waiting, waiting on the world to change. We're waiting on the world to change. We're waiting on the world to change. We're waiting on the world to change.
Mama Phillip was 80 years old. When I first met her in Kenya, she had been blind for 20 years and was dependent on her son Philip. Living an hour's walk from the nearest road, she was unable to walk or cook for herself. Her family thought she had dementia. When people lose their eyesight, they often lose their independence, their dignity, and their capacity to be a productive member of the community. A healthcare worker examined Mama Phillip and brought her to our clinic. When I examined her, I realized her problem was not dementia. It was cataract, a curable condition, and yet she had lost 2 decades of her life. Sadly, her story is not unique. 85 million people across the Commonwealth are blind or have very poor sight. 4 in 5 unnecessarily so. Like Mama Phillip, they have a treatable condition. I could have been one of them. I was diagnosed with severe visual impairment at the age of 12, but I had access to simple treatment, a pair of glasses. I'll never forget the moment I tried them on. For the first time, I saw that trees had leaves on them, and that night, I saw stars in the sky. It literally took my breath away. What else had I been missing? It turned out a lot. With that simple pair of glasses, my education, social life, and hopes of the future changed dramatically. In fact, the entire trajectory of my life changed. I knew from a young age that the opportunities I had were not universal. It ignited a fire in me which led me to become a doctor, then an eye surgeon. In 2012, I left my role in the NHS, and with my wife and our baby son, we moved to Kenya to establish 100 eye clinics. It was tough. We'd work day and night examining and treating everyone we could, but it soon became clear it would never be enough. Something needed to change. With our team in Kenya, we began building smartphone apps and devices that made it possible for a non-specialist to measure someone's vision, see inside their eye, and connect them to the right services. Our first trial saw 25 teachers screen 21,000 children, finding 900 with poor vision in just 9 days. This work was replicated and refined in India and then in Botswana, which is set to screen and treat every school child in the entire country by 2020, a world's first. An entire generation of school children will have access to good eye health and the opportunities it brings. Advances in technology, treatment, and public health mean that for most, poor vision and blindness no longer needs to be a life sentence. For the first time in human history, it is within our power to eliminate avoidable blindness and poor vision for everybody, everywhere. Every country in the Commonwealth has the opportunity to transform their citizens' eye health in a matter of years, not generations. But no country can do this alone. Our work would not be possible without collaboration from our friends and partners in Kenya, India, Botswana, and beyond. That is why the Commonwealth is so important. We have a shared history, but more importantly, we have a shared future. By working together, we can make that future better for millions of citizens across the Commonwealth and the globe. At a time when there is such focus on division, vision can unite all of us. That's why, inspired by the leadership shown in Botswana and by the commitment of many others, leading eye health organisations and banks are working together to establish a $1 billion Vision Catalyst Fund that will enable all Commonwealth countries to move towards universal eye health. The Commonwealth can be an example to the world of what is possible when we unite around a cause. And when we do, we will hear more and more stories like that of Mama Phillip, the lady who'd been blind for 20 years. Her surgery was a success. She looked years younger and was no longer displaying any signs of dementia. Later that day, we took her home. We watched the sheer wonder as she took in her surroundings. then the anticipation to see the faces that had become voices. And when we arrived, a man stood at her door expectantly. After what seemed like an eternity, she was looking intensely across a scene that looked so familiar yet different, and eventually asked, "Philip, my son, is that you?" Moments later, they embraced, and the community celebrated. We can be that community.
Don't trouble the water. Leave it alone. Why don't you let it be? Still waters run deep. Yes, they do. Oh, yeah. Oh, the troubled water. Oh, the troubled water. Oh, the troubled water. Oh, the troubled water. On your side when times get rough and pressures have been found like a bridge, just like a bridge. I will lay me down like a bridge, just like a bridge. Over troubled waters, I'm gonna lay me down. Don't trouble the water. Leave it alone. Why don't you let it be? Still waters run deep. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Don't trouble the water. Leave it alone. Why don't you let those troubled waters be? Still waters run deep. Oh, so deep. Yes, they do. Oh, yeah. On the troubled waters, water. On the troubled waters, water. On the troubled waters, water. Why don't you let it be? Let it be, let it be, let it be. Still waters run deep. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Don't trouble the water. Leave it alone. Why don't you let it be? Let those troubled waters run deep.
All right, guys, we'll come back into the newsroom for just a second here as this UK Commonwealth celebration continues. I want to take you back over to the States, down to Austin, Texas. Earlier this morning, there were reports of a suspicious package. FBI was investigating the situation, and now police have an update. I'm going to bring this to you live down in Austin.
6:44 in the morning, and they reported that there were 2 people that had been injured in this explosion. We immediately had police officers responding, along with the Austin Fire Department and Austin Travis County EMS services. Upon arrival, the police officers, the EMS technicians, and firefighters went to the residence, and what we found was an explosion had occurred inside the residence. There were 2 people that had been injured. One of those persons has died of their injuries. We believe this person to be a 17-year-old male. The other was an adult female who was transported to a local hospital with what we believe to be non-life-threatening injuries. What we understand at this point is that early this morning, one of the residents went out front and there was a package on the front doorstep. They brought that package inside the residence, and as they opened that package, both victims were in the kitchen and the package exploded, causing the injuries that resulted in the young man's death and the injuries to the adult female. This incident is being investigated right now by the Austin Police Department's Homicide Division as a homicide. What you see behind us is a very strong representation from both the FBI along with the ATF. We have the United States Postal Service out here with us again on this investigation, given that this was a package that was on the doorstep. What we can tell you right now is the United States Postal Service has reviewed their records and that we do not believe that this was at all a delivery that came through the Postal Service. And we're checking with our other package delivery services as well, but the initial indication from them is that this was not a package that was delivered by any mail service. So it was placed on the front doorstep. The incident is very similar to the incident that occurred in Austin back on March 2nd. And if you'll remember, that incident also occurred in the morning hours when the victim in that case went out front and found a package on their front steps that exploded, causing that individual's death. That case was being investigated as a suspicious death. It is now being reclassified and is now a homicide investigation as well. We are looking at these incidents as being related based on similarities that we have seen in the initial evidence that we have on hand here today compared to what we found on the scene of that explosion that took place a week back. We are looking at anything that might tie these two together. But again, what we've seen on the initial review of this scene, and we're very early on in the investigation, there are similarities that we cannot rule out that these two incidents are in fact related. So with that, I want to put out some safety messages. First of all, we want the community to be aware that this has happened, and obviously there's the possibility that these are related. So if you find any suspicious packages on your front porch at your residence, do not handle them, but instead call 911 and let us come out and take a look at those packages and ensure that they are safe. Again, if you've received a package that you were not expecting, that is not from someone that you expected to receive a package from, or for some reason gives you cause for concern, then call 911 until we've gotten to the bottom of this and cleared these cases. Again, we believe that the possibility that they are related exists, and that's what you see behind us is a very concerted effort between all of the agencies you see represented here today, because we are not going to tolerate this in Austin, and you have seen every stop will be pulled out, and the federal agencies have all jumped in with us to lend us a hand and to bring this to as quick of a resolution as possible. So we've got the FBI's evidence recovery team is en route, along with the ATF's national response team. There will be a very large post-blast investigation that will take place at this residence. Through this investigation, we will gather all the evidence, collect the evidence, and get it into a lab so that it can be analyzed so that we can, again, have this case ready for prosecution once we find the individual or individuals that are responsible for this. So we, again, are in the early stages of this investigation. And as I've said, we do see similarities and believe that these cases are linked at this time. However, we don't know what the motive behind these may be. We do know that both of the homes that were the recipients of these packages belong to African Americans, so we cannot rule out that hate crime is at the core of this, but we're not saying that that's the cause as well. We're just acknowledging and we're looking at any possible motivations that would link these two cases together so that we can put this case together, understanding the victimology and who might these individuals have known and had in common. So that's the stage of the investigation where we're at now. And again, we are in the early phases. We will be out here most of the day collecting evidence As you can imagine, with an explosion such as this, the damage is significant, and there's a lot of evidence that needs to be collected. So right now, this investigation is being conducted as a joint operation between the Austin Police Department, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and the ATF, all working collaboratively along with our other federal partners to bring this case to a quick resolution. So I'll open it up for questions here in a moment, but again, at this point, there's not a lot more than we can put out based on the early stages of the investigation where we are.
Is there anything that stands out about these packages at this point?
So we're not going to go into the specifics of that other than to say that the initial evidence and the initial description that we have received are similar in both cases. So that's what we're looking at, but we're not going to go into the specifics of what those similarities are.
Have y'all identified any surveillance video from any of the surrounding neighborhood homes?
We're doing a canvass of the neighborhood right now. We are looking at all of the residences that may have external video, and that is ongoing. So that will be part of the investigation.
Since the March 2nd explosion, Chief, is there anything that investigators have been able to identify about what type of explosive device this was?
So we do know what the explosive device was. We're not going to put that out now to protect the integrity of the investigation, but based on the expertise that comes to this investigation through not only our bomb squad, but through our federal partners with the FBI and the ATF, we've been able to piece together what we believe the construction of that first IED was, and that's what will take place again here today, is reconstructing what happened at this residence.
So you also know what the first explosive device was in the first incident, but also not telling us to protect the integrity of the investigation.
Correct.
You can say this is a threat to the public?
I want the public to be aware and to be cautious because, again, we have two cases that are very similar that have both resulted in a loss of life, and until we find who committed this act and take them into custody, then yes, it is appropriate for residents to be concerned if you receive a package you were not expecting, or if it's a package that's not marked appropriately, if it's not from someone that you know and you were not expecting, then it's better to be safe and give us a call and let us come out and take a look at it.
Now, the last press conference for the first incident, Assistant Chief Chacon said that terrorism, they did not believe was the motive in that incident. Is that the same belief for the second incident?
You know, there's no immediate indication from what we have on the scene, but again, we're early on in this. The fact that we believe there is a possibility that they are related, that's what we will look at now. Is there any specific ideology behind these offenses or any type, as I mentioned, a possible hate crime or anything? We're not saying that there is, but at this point we're looking at any possible avenue in these two cases.
Is it safe to say that these packages are being left overnight and when people wake up in the morning, they're there in the early hours of the morning?
That's what we believe early on, is that these packages are being delivered during the nighttime hours, and when the resident comes out front, they're finding them on the doorstep. So again, if you find yourself in that circumstance where you come out in the morning and you find a package on your doorstep, on your driveway, somewhere on your property that you were not expecting, that would be appropriate to call us.
Was there a second package on the scene? And did y'all examine that?
We had an initial report that there was a second package, but that package has in fact been cleared, and it was not at all related to this. It was just another package that was inside this residence.
How much of the neighborhood was evacuated?
We did a large evacuation on each side of the house and across the street. Again, early on, we were not certain whether or not that second package may also be an explosive device. So we had to clear out a good part of the neighborhood in an overabundance of caution to protect everyone's safety while we got the bomb squad in there to evaluate whether or not there was anything else that we needed to be concerned in the area of explosives.
We'll take one more. Can you speak a little to what these
marked with
packages
like Amazon or anything like that?
Do they look like your classic?
So both of your questions are about the same. So these packages are not, at this point, anything specific as far as a carrier or a vendor. But again, what the message really is to the community is if you've received a package that has been left on your doorstep or left in your yard or left on your driveway that you were not expecting or that was not from someone you know, then give us a call. These are not coming through the United States Postal Service that we've determined at this point. And again, the U.S. Postal Service inspector is on scene here with us today and was on scene with us on the prior incident as well. That's part of the ongoing investigation, the specifics of that. So that's what we're saying is if there's anything that looks out of place or suspicious, then let us know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chief, are you also ruling out the UPS
Yes, so we do check with UPS, we've checked with FedEx, we checked with DHL, and for this incident today, we're still looking at that review. But for the other incident a little over a week ago, that was not a delivery. You bet.
Just to clarify your wording, do you believe that the two are related, or you're investigating the possibility that they are?
The similarities make us believe that they are.
They had a serial bum on the head?
I'm not going to use that word, but we've definitely got someone who's.
Is it safe to say the relations of mother and son? Is that safe?
I can't confirm that right now. Just give us notifications.
Okay.
All right, guys, so that was Austin police talking about the second explosion in a month down there in Austin related to packages being delivered to front porches. The other one was March 2nd, and the police are right there saying they believe the similarities are possibly coming out, that these two explosions may be related. Now, this is interesting because this comes at a time where they are in the thick of South by Southwest, the music festival that is in downtown Austin. Now, this took place in East Austin. We're going to continue to monitor them for updates on what is happening. But again, he mentioned two African-American teenagers, one dead in the blast, one injured. They're not ruling out hate crime there. We're going to go shortly over to the White House, where President Trump is greeting the Houston Astros on their big World Series win from last year. So that's going to be exciting. He always, of course, talks to and greets the winner of the World Series, of the Super Bowl. We'll see what happens, if anything ensues there on the White House lawn. But for now, back over to the UK quickly before this switches out. Let's check into UK Commonwealth Day in London.
Let us now stand to pledge ourselves afresh to uphold and serve the values and fellowship of the Commonwealth. We affirm that every person possesses unique worth and dignity. We affirm our respect for nature and that we will be stewards of the earth by caring for every part of it and for it as a whole. We affirm our belief in justice for everyone and peace between peoples and nations. Joining together in kinship and affinity as members of one worldwide Commonwealth family, we acknowledge our shared inheritances and celebrate the goodwill and mutual respect which inspire us to work with one another towards a common future that is fairer, more secure, more prosperous, and more sustainable for the good.
All right, guys, a live look inside the White House here. President Trump is coming up next, greeting the Houston Astros on their win of the World Series last year. We're going to have a couple different cuts for you, different angles, but it looks like quite the ceremony already. So we'll stay right here for just a little bit. Houston Astros coming up with President Trump.
What am I looking for in the Astros?
Close it out, do they?
All right, guys, we're waiting on this ceremony with the Houston Astros and President Trump. This is a live look inside the White House here for this ceremony. And of course, visiting the White House after a win has been quite the polarizing thing. We saw a lot of team players sort of back out about visiting the White House after wins. The Golden State Warriors, of course, totally not coming to visit. And then President Trump, of course, rescinded their invitation. Some of the Philadelphia Eagles have said they won't be coming down to celebrate their Super Bowl win. But now we see the Houston Astros are coming down in full force, it seems like. And we'll have to see how this ceremony goes. But of course, this has just been somewhat of falling out with President Trump for some of these teams. And it's been an issue that people have talked about and written about and blogged about over the past year and a half or so for these wins. So World Series champs coming up next, guys. This ceremony is here. We're live streaming it. We'll have a couple different camera angles for you. So check into it with us. We're watching in the DC newsroom, as you guys do as well. Thanks for joining our stream today on this Monday. Happy Monday to you, and hope you enjoy. All right, guys, so the White House celebration here with the Houston Astros is slated to begin any second now. You're looking at a camera shot inside the room where President Trump will be presented with a jersey from the team. Now, the Astros have brought along with them some of the players who left the team in the offseason for other things. They're still going to come by, as well as the former first base coach. Now, this is pretty interesting. He actually will be with them when they greet President Trump now at this ceremony and later in the afternoon. He actually almost died of a blood clot in the brain just following the World Series parade celebration. So he was rushed to the hospital and things were okay. He will be here today. Possibly will sort of make remarks on that story, maybe to the president in private or maybe at some point today. But he had emergency brain surgery and retired from the team, but he's still going to be here as part of the celebration for the team. So that's pretty interesting little side note piece there of this story. Looks like this is getting underway in just a couple of minutes here. It was expected to be around 12:15 Eastern. I see the camera sort of panning the crowd slightly and getting the right angle. So we'll bring this back to full screen and check into this ceremony. Should be starting up just a second. All right, guys, if you are still with us, if you are just joining our stream, we're waiting on the Houston Astros to make their appearance at the White House for the celebration for them being the 2017 World Series champions. Now, a lot of teams, as they win, we've talked about this, have decided to boycott these White House visits. In fact, the Golden State Warriors in total as a team boycotted a visit with President Trump. Some people say that Tom Brady, Patriots quarterback, possibly boycotted after a falling out with President Trump. So he did not visit for their Super Bowl win 2 times ago. But looks like this is just getting underway here. It's just about to start up. Here come the Astros team, the coaches, they'll all be there, we expect, and they'll present a jersey to President Trump. So this all coming in their official celebration right here on Fox 5 Live. Listen in.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 2017 World Series champions, the Houston Astros. Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, accompanied by Jim Crane.
I hope you enjoyed that walk, Jim. That's quite a walk, right? Well, I want to thank you, and I'm thrilled to be here. And welcome to the White House, the 2017 World Series champion, the Houston Astros, and what a team, because I watched our Yankees, and the Yankees were good, and they were tough. They were about as tough as anybody, but you guys were just a little bit tougher. So congratulations. It was Game 7 of the World Series was one of the greatest baseball games anybody has ever seen. Tremendous for the sport, and it's really a reminder why baseball is our national pastime. Thank you to the Energy Secretary, Rick Perry, and we love Rick, right? Did I do the right job with Rick? I think we did the right job, right, John? There's John Cornyn, too. You know John, you're a great senator. And is that Ted Cruz? That's Ted Cruz right there. We have well represented. You're well represented today. But I do want to thank Senator Cornyn, Senator Cruz, Representative Kevin Brady. Where's Kevin? Where's Kevin? Kevin, are we going for an additional tax cut, I understand? He's the king of those tax cuts, yeah. We're going to do a phase 2. I'm hearing that. You hear that, John and Ted? Phase 2. We're actually very serious about that, Kevin. So it's good. But Kevin Brady is a spectacular person and did a really incredible job with the tax cuts. And to all of the members of the Texas Congressional Delegation, thank you very much. A delegation of great people. Thank you all for being here. It's a big delegation. You all show up for the Houston Astros, don't you, huh? That's great. To Jim Crane, General Manager Jeff Lunau, President Reed Ryan, Skipper A.J. Hinch, become very famous. A.J., you become very famous, I have to tell you. That was a great job of skippering. And to all of the players and staff, congratulations on your incredible victory. It was indeed. After the devastating Hurricane Harvey, incredible that with what you went through, that you're the champions with what you went through with Harvey. It's a really befitting tribute. What was really a show of world spirit and Houston strong. You were Houston strong. I also want to thank some of the heroes of Hurricane Harvey who join us today, including members of the incredible Cajun Navy. Right here, these guys. Right. Right, John, thank you. John, you have John Bridgers, we have Ben Husser, Reverend Lewis Husser. He said he was praying for me. That's good. Thank you. That's always nice. That helps. Lewis Husser, and that's your boy, huh? Your son. Great. Billy Branniger, John Abel, and Daniel Richardson, Cajun Navy. Thank you very much for being here. Jim McIngvale, known as the Mattress Mac. I met him early on in the campaign. Where's Jim? I met him early in the campaign. And I think you stayed with me, didn't you? Huh? You were right there, Jim. But I met him early. He liked me. I liked him. Mattress Mac, great job you've done. Going to sell a lot of mattresses after today. And he knows what he's doing, right? He knows what he's doing. Thank you very much, Jim, for being here. When Harvey struck, I will say this, Jim, Mattress Mac, opened the doors to his furniture store and provided food and shelter to hundreds and hundreds of people. And when the Astros made it to the World Series, he paid to send first responders of Hurricane Harvey to Game 6 in Los Angeles. And he's a real Texas guy, not just Houston, Texas, right? And I want to thank every member of the Astros team who spent time with those displaced in shelters. You held food and supply drives all over Texas and beyond and gave millions and millions of dollars of your salaries. I know you're doing pretty damn well. You're going to be doing even better now. Boy, would I like to be. Can I be your agent? Huh? I want to be your agent. Look at Jim. He doesn't find that funny at all. When Maria ravaged Puerto Rico weeks later, the Houston Astros redoubled their assistance, and many of them went there and helped. Really great. Our administration will continue to stand by the people of Texas and Florida and Puerto Rico, Louisiana, even Alabama and so many other places were affected, and we're standing by all of them. Texas was incredible, the way they recovered. You had a devastating hurricane. It kept going. I've never seen anything like it. It went in, and you thought it was gone, and it came out and got more water. In, out, 3 times. There's never been anything like it that we've seen. From the standpoint of water, not even close. There has never been anything so bad, and yet you recovered so incredibly well. I was there very shortly after, and some of the streets that were 6 feet high in water, you could hardly notice that they were affected. In one case, a man was actually cutting his lawn. I said, the lawn's pretty wet, isn't it? He wanted to cut it anyway. Oh, look who we have, Louis Gohmert. Louis, boy, I'll tell you, what a good congressman. What a great job. Thank you, Louis. Thank you for being here. The Astros' victory for the ages was truly a team effort, and that is true. Everyone contributed. Everyone made critical plays. Everybody helped deliver the championship. Very few errors on that team. The Astros have had an incredible progression in recent years. Not so long ago, I'd watch, I'm a big baseball fan, and the team was not a good team. Maybe it was a good team, but it wasn't doing very well. And what you did this year was incredible, putting it all together. And it's true testament, really a true testament to the entire organization and to your many loyal fans. You have great fans. Texas is an amazing place. Great fans. Tough stuff. Winning the World Series required years of effort, faith in your vision, and an unwavering will to succeed. And now what happens a lot of times is you get a little complacent and bad things happen. I don't think that's going to happen to this team. There'll be no complacency, fellows. Just forget about last year, right? Just put it down as a great memory, but no complacency. How about George Springer, the most valuable player of the World Series? Where's George? Where's George? So let's see. George hit 5 homers. That's a lot of homers. During the Fall Classic, only the 3rd player ever to do so in history. That's pretty great. Way to go, George. And who could forget the amazing Jose Altuve? Where's Jose? He's much taller than I thought. Unbelievable. That's a hell of a team. Congratulations, Jose. That's really, what you've done is incredible. The American League MVP is a true fan favorite. He led his team in hits and set a new career high with a .346 batting average. .346. Wow, that's good. You know, I sat next to Stan Musial about 10 years ago before he passed away. And he was doing the circuit. And I think he said he played for 22 years and his batting average was .333. And I said, and he was never the happiest person after that because he figured he missed out. But I'll tell you, what a great guy. Stan the man, right? 22 years, .333 batting average, so that's good. But for this year, you beat him, right? That's great. That's good. Do it for another 22 years. He'll do it. Dallas Keuchel and Charlie Morton both won 14 games during the regular season, and they were tough. And Brad Peacock was very close behind. So, fellas, congratulations. Great job. Great job. Great job. Brad, great job. And, of course, the lights-out pitching of Justin Verlander. So I know Justin. Justin's a friend of mine, and Justin and I played golf. And I'm a pretty long hitter. This guy he is a monster. And he said he's a 2 or a 3 handicap, but believe me, he's much better than that. He's about a +2 or +3. But we loved playing, and it was really great. And what he wants to do is get back to pitching, and I think he's going to have a fantastic year. So good luck, Justin. Congratulations on the win. You know, pretty amazing if you're a baseball fan. Justin delivered 4 wins and 38 strikeouts in 6 playoff appearances. When you think about it, that's big stuff. To all of the players and management of the Houston Astros, I want to say, once again, thank you for being true champions on and off the field. You really have. It really exemplifies what greatness is all about. You work hard, you strive to be the best, and you won really big. And it's a credit to the players here today, the Astros leadership, your millions of loyal fans in Houston and Texas and beyond Texas. You have a lot of fans beyond Texas. I have a guy, he's a New York guy. I don't think he's ever left the city, and he likes the Houston Astros. I said, how does that work? He likes the team. He likes what you represent. And the unbreakable spirit, you really do. It's an unbreakable spirit of the great state of Texas. So congratulations again. And with the opening day soon upon us, when is opening day? 2.5 weeks. You nervous? No. Not even a little bit. I wouldn't be. Nobody nervous? Good. Good. Yeah, you want to be a little bit nervous maybe, right? But you're going to have a great year. They say the team is maybe even stronger, so that's pretty good. So with the opening day coming soon, I just wish everybody a really phenomenal season, a healthy season. You're going to go out there. You're going to do great. You're really expected to do very well. I see a lot of people are predicting you could do it again. And I say God bless you, God bless Texas, and God bless America. Thank you very much. And now, I'd like to invite my friend Jim Crane, the owner of the Houston Astros, up to say a few words. Terrific guy, terrific success, and what a job you've done. Congratulations, Jim.
He's got a little better notes than I got. So thank you, Mr. President. It's a great honor for the Houston organization to be here. We're very honored, the entire team and all of our fans. Want to thank you very much for acknowledging the efforts in the state. A lot of great people in Texas, these guys in the front row. Great job getting us out of a mess. It was a very special season with all that was going on. The team pulled together very well. They came back from the storm. They put Houston Strong on their shirts and came back and started helping right away. Great job on all the teammates and all the effort they put in to help us. And you know, Houston really recovered very quickly. I think the spirits of the team and the dedication. I want to thank all the fans. 59 years, we never won a World Series. Texas never won a World Series. So we're glad to finally deliver that for the state of Texas. Again, a great group of guys. You know, when you have a team like this, everything kind of comes together and everything kind of works. AJ with his coaching staff and his great leadership, you know, was really handling the guys well throughout the season. He's fun to watch, and he's a great communicator. He's a great leader. Jeff with the baseball operation, all of his guys and the analytics. Jeff really came in 6 years ago and you know, restructured the whole organization, and it's his plan, his 21-page plan that he delivered to me 6 years ago that got us there for the first time. Reed with his group, all of the staff here, everybody over there on the left, all their hard work behind the scenes to support the fans and the team effort. And we're committed to try to do it again. Our motto for this year. Our motto this year is we never settle. So AJ will tell you how we're going to do that again.
Well, I'll tell you how we're going to do it again, maybe in a little bit. But, Mr. President, I'd like to thank you on behalf of the players, the coaches, clubhouse personnel from the field. We are honored to be here, and we, as the champions in Major League Baseball, will represent baseball well. We try to represent the country well, and to celebrate this in front of the whole country is truly an honor. You know, I will. I'll tell you how you're going to remember this team, and I'll remember this team for a lot of reasons. Number one, we can talk about Hurricane Harvey, which everyone has. To watch this team of men experience Hurricane Harvey and become leaders in the community and help rebuild our great city was nothing short of extraordinary. And my hat goes off to them for, as players during the season, to be able to be truly good men and help others. The other reason, if you watch us play, you'll fall in love with this team. It's the way we play. It's the makeup of this team that so many people around Houston are proud of. Diversity. We come from everywhere, all shapes and sizes, all different countries, different backgrounds, high draft picks, low draft picks, non-draft picks. We added a few guys at the end that helped us. We really came together, and we're the true essence of a team. And as a manager, you can't be any more proud than to watch your team become one. It's one of the reasons we won the World Series. And lastly, you know, I'll tell you that it's the characters and the personalities, and it's the true love of the game that shows every night that we play. We won 100+ games in the regular season. You'd never know it. If one word you don't have to worry about, we won't be complacent because of the characters that we have on this team. So I'm going to bring up one of the biggest ones in Josh Reddick, who we have a gift for you. Now, if you follow our team, you may fear that we're going to present Mr. President a Speedo. But we are not. We instead are going to present you a jersey to forever remember our team as the champions in 2017.
Sir. So, Jim, would anybody else like to say a few words? Because actually you were supposed to introduce somebody else, but I'll do it for you. Come on up here and say a couple of words. Get up. Come on.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. President. Thanks for having us here. We had a vision in 2011. It was a little different than what the media and the fans were expecting. Radical ways, they called it. But at the end of the day, our goal was to win a championship as soon as possible and to build an organization that could compete for multiple championships. We did it. It didn't always work out the way we wanted. We had a lot of adversity in the early years, but we stuck to our plan. We brought in the right group of players, and it ended up with a trophy that you see right here. So thank you very much for hosting us, and we plan to be back.
I bet you will. Well, what a great honor. I've been a baseball fan, and I used to play baseball at a slightly different level, like at a high school level, a little different. But I love the game. It's a great game, and you're great champions. And I just want to let you know your country is doing fantastically well. We had one of the best economic days in our history on Friday. The numbers were announced, and you're going to see other numbers coming out. We're really back on track. We're not letting the world take advantage of us anymore. And it's being changed very rapidly, so you see that happening. And I just want to thank all of you for representing not only the great state of Texas, but our country so well. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Team picture?
Nope. No team picture. Didn't take me to sit down.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain in your seats while the team departs the East Room.
So that's the East Room of the White House, guys, and congratulations to the Houston Astros, of course, on their 2017 World Series win. They presented President Trump just then with a jersey. You heard from a few head coaches and team coaches, and they're there to celebrate. They seem to all be there. I'm sure we'll hear if someone didn't come, maybe to boycott this occasion or whatnot. But so far, what we've heard is that the team is there in full force and celebrating. Of course, their win came after our very own Washington Nationals lost in the NLDS last year to the Cubs. They did not advance, and Houston, of course, advanced on the other side, and they went all the way. But barring that little bit of heartbreak, as our opening day is coming up shortly, if you guys are in the area and you follow baseball, of course, our home opener is April 5th. So we're definitely looking forward to that here in Washington. It's a big baseball town. Big baseball town there, too. We forgot, and maybe some of you didn't, but President Trump mentioned it right there, the nail on the head, that Houston went through Hurricane Harvey and all of that trauma and all that natural disaster that they went through, and then they sort of rose up. And this win was really quite fortuitous, I guess, for them, and it was good for the city, and it was definitely a moment I think all of America could come behind when they won the World Series last year. So that's that, guys. Kind of a cool live event there from the White House East Room with President Trump. Meanwhile, back in Washington, how about this little bit? Switching it over to weather. Did you guys see? This is the latest that we have in our weather maps, and if you follow our social media, you probably saw our weather guy, Mike Thomas, give a little video about what we're going to be going through. It actually is essentially nothing. You can see there on the map that we're in that snow hole. So that white area with nothing is the fact that DC is sort of surrounded by all this winter weather, and we're probably not going to get hit ourselves. You can see blue, purple, green, all of that in the higher marks up towards New England, and southern New England looking to really get hit by a blizzard status storm. We were just hearing our weather guy Tucker Barnes saying they're going to get 30 to 40 mile per hour winds, lots of snow, inches upon feet upon more feet. So that number is just rising. But you can see from the map here from tropicaltidbits.com, really good sort of wide look map at how DC is somehow avoiding the snow, but the rest of the East Coast is getting hit. So that's sort of what we're going through here in DC. Besides that, some other cool topics of the day. We have some top stories for you. We're going to play a few of those top stories for you today, just coming out this morning on various topics from some of our Fox News reporters. Check it out.
To ensure everyone feels included every day. Some of the best friendships are unexpected.
Talia. Well, she's my best friend now, but I was in a group of friends like in middle school, and she was like by herself or something like that, and like me and my group of friends asked like that she wanted to join our group, and then now she's like my best friend. So.
Ciara and her friends approached Talia, a new student.
I went to 3 years from middle school, so I came from Montero and then went to Claremont, and I was just sitting by myself. Like I didn't really know nobody except my brother, and they just came up to me and started doing some with us.
These days been so rough. These teens are spreading the word that friendships make a difference. The Bay Area nonprofit Beyond Differences urges young people to put an end to social isolation. It says millions of middle school students suffer every day from feeling left out because people see them as different. Javante Francis says he was once isolated moving into a new school.
And then I would watch others be isolated and watch others bully people, and I would just sit at my desk watching it happen, and I really never had the courage to get up and say anything about it to stop them.
He did find that courage in 8th grade and ran for student council to help all students feel included. The students marched around Lake Merritt passing out cards with conversation starters, something many adolescents struggle with in making new friends. Sonali tells us about her new best friend.
So I just casually asked them once when their birthday was, and then when it was their birthday, I went and got them a little cupcake and made them a card, and my friend group saying happy birthday to them, and they've been eating lunch with us, and they're totally part of our friend group now.
I was humiliated every single day until I found my people.
BART Board of Director for District 7, Latifah Simon, says being legally blind could have isolated her in school if it wasn't for a good group of teens who embraced her. She says Beyond Differences is society's future.
I think this movement is beyond friendships. This movement of young people, they're done with isolation, and they're done with children being discriminated against because of their faith or their disability or their language or their home country of origin. And we just have to see this community expand, and I'm so glad as an adult that I get to be a part of it.
The teens of Beyond Differences also stand in solidarity with the National School Walkout Day and March for Our Lives movements, contributing to end violence by being more socially inclusive and accepting of fellow students. In Oakland, Lee Martinez, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
Ziki, kiss, kiss, kiss. Thank you.
Meet Zeke. He's way more than a pet to 15-year-old Madison Brown from Crosby.
The seizure alert and response dog.
Zeke is one of the reasons Madison is able to show her horse Warrior at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo.
If I'm about to have a seizure, what he will do is he'll start pawing at me, and then if I don't get the hint, if I'm too busy, then he'll start pulling at my clothes to make me sit down.
So he senses it before you feel it.
Yes.
Madison has been dealing with epilepsy for years and used to have seizures every day. New medications have helped lower that amount, but Zeke is always on standby and ready to rush into action.
If he started alerting me right now, I would just go ahead and sit down and have him do what's called deep pressure therapy. And there's pressure points in your thighs right here. And he's trained to lay on top of me right there. And that's supposed to help soothe and relax you.
Madison's mom and Zeke work together to keep Madison safe.
Once I'm in a seizure, what he will do is he'll roll me on my side, and then he'll stay there, or he can go and get help. And when he gets help, he'll go to someone and spin 2 times, and then that's how they know that something has happened to me.
Whenever she's riding, I always have him where he can see her and make sure she's okay. Because if she's out of sight, he goes into panic mode. He wants to make sure that she's okay at all times.
Madison has been riding horses most of her life. Now Zeke is helping her continue to do it.
He's been a godsend to us, and he's totally changed her life to where it gives her a sense of independence now. You know, for so long she couldn't go and do things that, you know, any other 15-year-old girl could do.
What does it mean for you to be here at a huge show like this?
This is a dream come true because I never thought I would be able to do this.
Madison wants to encourage others to never let an obstacle slow them down.
You can put the ability in disability. That's how I like to think about it. And just because you have something, a disability, doesn't mean you can't enjoy life. You have to live life just normal and keep going with it.
And that's exactly what he's given her, is the ability to do that. So it's wonderful.
A deadly helicopter crash in New York City's East River on Sunday night. A Eurocopter AS-350 went down north of Roosevelt Island near 89th Street in Manhattan. The chopper was a tour helicopter owned by Liberty Helicopter Tours. It had been hired as a private charter for a photo shoot and was carrying 6 people. Coast Guard officials say they received word of the crash shortly after 7 p.m. and sent 3 boats to the scene. Officials say 1 person was rescued by a tugboat and 5 people were recovered by police and fire department divers. This video shows 3 of the crash victims being taken out on stretchers nearly 2 hours after the accident. Witnesses told local media the helicopter appeared to fill with water quickly, and they saw at least 1 person emerge from the helicopter and wait for help.
Well, the White House is forming a new commission to get into some of the specifics, but we do have a broad outline of what the president would like to see in terms of gun control. With gun control activists promising to keep up the pressure, the White House has a new plan to address school shootings, calling for federal funding to train some volunteer teachers to use firearms and stiffen background check systems for gun purchases. The FBI's tip line will be audited, and the administration is establishing a new federal commission to examine what else can be done, headed by Education Secretary Betsy DeVos, who appeared on CBS's 60 Minutes last night.
Do you feel a sense of urgency?
Yes.
Because this sounds like talking.
Yeah, no, there is a sense of urgency, indeed.
A sense of urgency, especially after the attack at a Parkland, Florida high school last month that left 17 dead. Left out of the current recommendations, a proposal to raise the minimum age to purchase assault-style weapons to 21, something the president initially supported.
He has made statements in recent weeks that the NRA has been very unhappy with, although he's gone back and forth, and so it has been hard to tell exactly where this is going to end up.
And while gun control advocates say this won't go far enough, many conservatives bristle at giving more power to the federal government.
Gun attitudes vary widely across this country, from the South to the North, the West, the East, rural areas versus urban areas. I do think that local officials should be allowed to set policies that are going to make people in those communities feel better about how we treat guns.
And as far as the commission is concerned, there's no real timeline here. The administration only says that they expect to have some reports back within a year. In Washington, Doug Luzader, Fox News.
All right, guys, we're showing you some of the top stories, top packages from today from some of our Fox News co-workers there, our reporters across the nation with some of the top headlines, including what I was showing you during that helicopter story. Here's a live look, police continuing to investigate the scene at the East River where that helicopter went down, screaming, "Mayday, Mayday." Of course, 6 people aboard that helicopter, 5 of them dead. They're saying that the pilot is the one that survived that crash. So really just a sad, crazy scene there in the East East River of the Hudson. You can see the cityscape behind it. And meanwhile, another sort of really tragic thing happening across the nation. Let's go over to the West Coast. This is live looks in Portland, Oregon. This is a car lot. What they're saying is a car dealership that has essentially exploded in some way in flames. Firefighters right now battling that fire. You can see the heavy smoke billowing off of those cars. Can't quite pinpoint exactly where this is in the city, but I'm going to try to find out some more information. This is live video coming into us, and the scene in the East River of New York is also live. They're continuing to investigate the cause of that crash. Some are saying, investigations, early reports are saying that something might have hit the fuel shutoff button, and it may have caused the helicopter to go down. Of course, this was a privately chartered helicopter. These folks, I believe, had flown before, and that's what they're saying, that these victims are in the age range of 26 to 34, and it is really a sad story coming out of last night in New York. So we're going to continue to update you on that as we get more updates from officials.
Coming to the White House stakeout.
Let's go back to the White House. We have the camera out there with the Astros who are coming out of their ceremony with the president, and they have something to say outside the front of the White House.
To walk into the building and see all the history. Electrifying to walk in and see all the history, and the president was great. He was very cordial. Spent a lot of time with us in his office. It was just a very special day.
Any comment about Carlos Beltran not showing up?
A couple of guys had family issues and spring break, and so we didn't really review that with him.
Well, he said it was more about Puerto Rico.
Well, that's something you have to talk to him about.
Can you talk about what this means for the city of Houston in the aftermath of Hurricane Harvey?
Well, as we talked about, the president talked about it a lot. The city really rallied behind it. The players really rallied behind it with the Houston Strong, and I think it just united the city in a very bad time and gave them something to be cheerful for. We saw people sitting down their driveways with their TVs running off a generator watching the game. So it was a big uplift for the city at a time when we needed it.
Can you get used to being in the AL instead of the NL? I mean,
we're in the AL. We're there to stay. I don't think we're moving anytime soon, but that came with a deal, and I'd said at that time we had to beat everybody to win the World Series, and we did it.
Jim, you said that among the reasons why the players weren't here is that it also includes Carlos Correa, why he wasn't here today.
I didn't check in with the guys on who was here and who wasn't. I just got here in a different way, so we can address that later.
Not the first president you met with, the previous one. Did you have any conversations with President Trump? Did you appeal to him in any way as someone who is engaged politically beyond?
I'm very neutral on the politics, so I've been with the Democratic presidents and the Republicans before, mainly in the golf environment, but I'm very neutral. I didn't deliver any messages whatsoever. I haven't been invited yet, but I would love to do that. I'll give him a run for his money.
Josh, for you, just to go up there to President Madison, what's it going like? Where's it rank for you as far as
you hear honor a lot today, but it is a huge honor for me to not only be able to share this moment with my teammates, but to come in here and visit our president in such a historic building at the White House. And any time you can get a chance to come and do something like this, it's going to be a great time. And for me, being a huge history buff, it was always all about me getting to experience the whole thing and meeting our president. So very honored and very excited to be here.
Did the team ever consider not going to the White House?
Not from what I heard, no. I heard right out of the gate that we were all going to go, and some guys would go, some guys wouldn't. So, everybody has their own way of how they want to handle things, and, that's the way that they want to do things, and we're all for it.
Will that affect your team on the field?
Not at all, not one bit. I don't think so. This kind of thing doesn't come into baseball at all. We worry about winning every night, and that's what it's going to continue to be.
AJ, you took part also in the president's jersey, so thoughts about what that meant to you there.
Oh, it was great. I mean, obviously, we go to a lot of different places. We got to do a parade. We got to experience some stuff with our fans. To walk into this building was pretty intimidating, to be honest with you. We're just as out of our element of anything that we get to experience. So a lot of smiles on a lot of faces. We enjoyed our time. I got to celebrate again the 2017 team. Get these guys back to spring training. We got to work out tomorrow and get towards 2018. But we'll remember this similar to how we remember a lot of the things that have come out of the championship.
You talked many times about turning the page, but today you didn't mind not turning the page from it, right?
Yeah, no, today was very special. I mean, there's one team in sports, in our sport that gets to come every year, and we'll forever remember this.
AJ, he's a big baseball fan. Did you just talk a little bit before?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, he entertained us in the Oval Office, and we got a chance to shake his hand and talk a little bit. And we know he's a Yankee fan, so we didn't apologize for beating his favorite team. But it was fun to have some interaction. Yeah, I mean, obviously when you win, and in our sport, no one has repeated since 2000, and so never settle for us is just a very obvious way to keep our mindset in the right direction. The organization has created a great campaign to make sure that we keep our heads on straight, and we realize that if we want to experience all this fun stuff again, I mean, we had players going on TV shows and doing autograph signings and getting parades and riding in different parades all around the country. That's all fine and good. If we want to do it again, we can't settle for what we did last season. We need to move forward into next season. Pretty incredible. When Jeff hired me and said, he said at my opening press conference that he felt like I was going to be the manager when we won the World Series. He's brilliant. I mean, he was right. And so for that, I'm forever grateful. And all these experiences come out of this are new for us. We don't have a lot of experience in this. Now we do. We want to build on it. We want to be a perennial winner. Jim and Jeff have both supported that on the field. We'd let us do our job on the field and set the high expectations that we have, and we're going to try to go prove it again. No, I think it was 17. It was 17, number 17. Yeah, it was number 17, which I think Lance Berkman is the last one to wear the 17.
Hey, Jay, you made a point. You mentioned the diversity of the team and the makeup of the guys all come together, which is part of what Americans and well, I assume you did that.
Yeah, it's just, for us to describe the Houston Astros, there's so many different ways you can describe it. We have the way we're built, we have the way we play, we have the way we interact, and we have one of the most unique superstars in the big leagues in Jose Altuve. We have one of the biggest personalities in Dallas Keuchel and Justin Verlander, and the list goes on. And the World Series MVP is a different guy. And we have, Josh Reddick, who signed to come to Houston to do exactly what we did last year. So when you look at our team, we come from everywhere. We've got some big guys, we've got some small guys. We've got guys in their second tour as far as me and as a manager. It's a very, very unique group, and similar to our country. But I want the people around the country to fall in love with the Astros as much as our city did, and that's because of the makeup of our team. What's that? I don't believe he was asked to. He's on the bus. We're going back to spring training, so there's wait for it.
Hey, Reed, this is not the first time Orion has been to the White House, right?
No, I've had the privilege of coming here before, and it's such an honor, like these guys said, to get to come to the People's House, represent our game, and see what makes our country great. You go in through this building, and there's paintings and artifacts and things from the entire history of our country. And I think all the guys on the team that went in didn't know what to expect, but they left with a greater appreciation of our country and our democracy.
How did when the president was addressing the team,
You'd have to ask Jose. I can't speak for how he felt, but I know he's one of the best examples of what we're about in Houston, and he does everything right. So I would imagine he would respond correctly.
Hey, do you think you made progress from an Astros fan? The way we talk about you guys out there.
It's hard to break Yankee fans of bad habits, but we're going to try. So I imagine he's a fan of last year's team. We'll try to come back again and see if we can continue to inch him towards the Astros flavor.
Jeff, could you talk about how special it was for you to be on the world stage and say we plan to do that?
It was a great experience. Great to get more recognition for the state of Texas, for the Astros, for everything that happened this year. I was surprised at how much time we got to spend with Mr. President and just walking around the White House. Tremendous experience. And President Trump said something about complacency for winners. It's been our theme all spring. It's almost as if we had talked about it, because we don't want to be complacent. If there's one thing that this experience today gave me, is a desire to come back here as soon as possible and do it again. So with that, we've got to go. We've got a bus full of players ready to go to the airport and head back and keep working. So thank you all very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so a little commentary there from the Astros themselves, some of the coaches and players outside the front of the White House talking about their experience speaking with President Trump. But I want to quickly go over to that scene that we were looking at earlier in Portland, Oregon. Check this out, guys. Live look at these second alarm fire flames in Portland, Oregon. This is in the northeast quadrant. If you know Portland, and I'm slightly familiar with it, it is divided into those quadrants, much like DC actually is. And this, again, if they zoom out, we can see it even more, but you can see tons of firefighters on hand there to battle these flames. The northeast quadrant is a lot of businesses, and this fire is actually towards the Columbia River itself. So very northeast, sort of away from some of those strips of shops and bars and whatnot that people typically associate with that industrial area of northeast Portland. But you can see in this wide shot all those flames. Apparently this is a car lot, some sort of car dealership or something, and it is tremendously on fire. Lots of news crews, lots of spectators have run to check this out. You can see just in that background there the firefighters and the crews and the trucks who are on hand to handle this. So we're going to keep our eyes on this because this footage is just incredible to see. These aerials take you also back to the continuation of the Astros press conference following their ceremony with President Trump. So we'll split screen this for you.
Very excited to be here. Not from what I heard, though. I heard right out of the gate that we were all going to go, and some guys would go, some guys wouldn't. So, you know, everybody has their own way of how they want to handle things, and that's the way that they want to do things.
Will that affect your team on the field?
Not at all, not one bit. I don't think so. This kind of thing doesn't come into baseball at all. We worry about winning every night, and that's what it's going to continue to be.
AJ, you took part also in the president's jersey, so thoughts about what that meant to you.
Oh, it was a parade. We got to experience some stuff with our fans. To walk into this building was pretty intimidating, to be honest with you. We're just as out of our element of anything that we get to experience. So a lot of smiles on a lot of faces. We enjoyed our time. I got to celebrate again the 2017 team. Get these guys back to spring training. We got to work out tomorrow and get towards 2018. But we'll remember this similar to how we remember a lot of the things that have come out of the team. It was fun to have some interaction. Yeah, you know, I mean, obviously when you win, in our sport, no one has repeated since 2000. And so never settle for us is just a very obvious way to keep our mindset in the right direction. The organization has created a great campaign to make sure that we keep our heads on straight, and we realize that if we want to experience all this fun stuff again, I mean, we had players going on TV shows and doing autograph signings and getting parades and riding in. Jim and Jeff have both supported that on the field. They've let us do our job on the field and set the high expectations that we have, and we're going to try to go prove it again.
Didn't get a chance to see the jersey. Maybe it was a 45. Do we know? And if so, how does Garrett Cole feel about that?
No, I think it was 17. Number 17. Yeah, it was number 17. I think Lance Berkman is the last one to wear the 17. AJ, the diversity of the team. Because there's so many different ways you can describe it. We have the way we're built, we have the way we play, we have the way we interact, and we have one of the most unique superstars in the big leagues in Jose Altuve. We have one of the biggest personalities in Dallas Keuchel and Justin Verlander, and the list goes on and on.
And the artifacts and things from the entire history of our country. And I think all the guys on the team that went in didn't know what to expect, but they left with a greater appreciation of our country and our democracy. How deep has it been to be the president for the state of Texas, for the Astros, for everything that happened this year? I was surprised at how much time we got to spend with Mr. President and just walking around the White House. Tremendous experience. And President Trump said something about complaining.
So taking you back to this scene here, guys, in Portland, Oregon, Northeast Portland, they're still battling this fire in that area of Portland, upper industrial area towards the Columbia River. Meanwhile, the scene in the East River of New York continues here, guys. This is a live look at police continuing to investigate the helicopter crash that killed 5 people, 6 people on board, though. The pilot actually survived. And this was a private chartered helicopter from Liberty Helicopters. It's a company that says they pride themselves as being the largest and most experienced helicopter sightseeing and charter service in New York City. Apparently they have had only 3 accidents in 11 years, one of them fatal. So in 2009, this crash killed 9 people after this small helicopter, investigators said, went too high and eventually plummeted into the Hudson River, killing 9 people. This one, 5 people were killed. I know that the New York Fire FDNY commissioner said that one of the hardest parts about this crash is that the people were belted in so tightly, as they are in these private chartered helicopters, and so they had to actually be cut out. So I imagine it is just traumatic to think about sort of the tragedy of how they were trying to escape, or they'd had to try to escape in a situation like this and weren't able to. And so it makes it that much more heart-wrenching to kind of hear about how this went down and the accidents that have ensued with this company in the past. So investigators are continuing to look into that. You can see here police on hand on the river, still gathering evidence, I believe, in pieces of the helicopter and this crash that happened overnight. So we wonder sort of what's going to become of that pilot, and if we'll hear from him at any time. I know there was an Instagram story video that came out that sort of documented the last moments of the crash. Very haunting video that I'm trying to look up online to find, but obviously lots of people talking about this on social media, police, other bystanders sending their thoughts, their prayers to those who were killed. And this is the live scene right here in New York. We're going to give you both this and the scene in Portland as they continue to follow that fire as we roll on with our show, guys, here in the DC newsroom.
Journalism school, right?
Indeed, yes, sir.
The best one, right? Oh, you did?
I also played South Texas College.
Did you? We need your references, call me.
All right.
Let me get my card. How you like DC? Expensive too, right? Good to see you. Thanks.
I mean, whatever you want to do. CC's right. It's that little in the corner, right? Oh, back all the way to the bureau. Yeah, just to have it. Cool. I've got a pen right here.
So the investigation into this crash, guys, is set to be quite an involved one. The NTSB said that they look at 3 major things, and you can see here, there they are, the NTSB right there investigating. They're on the dock here near the East River. We're giving you some live aerials on the left side of your screen, and then on the right side, more of a close-up into this investigation. But they look at 3 main things. That is the pilot's training experience and sort of what he went through, or he or she went through in the immediate moment responding to the crash. Then they look at what, if anything, on the helicopter or involved with the helicopter caused the crash. And then thirdly, what environmental factors may have gone into this crash. Now, some of the bystanders that even took video and later posted it to Twitter said that it was unusual that this helicopter was flying low, ended up crashing into the water and then flipping over sort of to its side and then eventually submerged on its total backside underwater, which made this, I think, much more difficult for those people in the helicopter who are tightly harnessed in the helicopter. So a lot of those things, of course, are part of the investigation, but some people are speculating, and they're looking into this preliminarily, that a probable cause could have been that these floats that are designed to be on the chopper so that it lands, if in the event of a water landing, it lands upright and enables people to get out of it. Possibly one of those floats or multiple of those floats were faulty or did not inflate, and therefore this helicopter flipped on its side, and this became the situation. So again, lots of details still coming out. I'm sure we're going to see some official news conferences from police, NTSB, people looking into the situation. The brother of the pilot has already spoken out and just has said, hey, he did his job. He escaped, he lived, let him be for now. So, of course, this is riling up a lot of emotions, a lot of people trying to get witness accounts, and the media is going to be out there. But our thoughts and prayers with those people. And I'm sure we're going to hear more information as this all comes out of this crash. But very scary last night in the East River in New York City. And you can see here they're still looking into what exactly caused this unfortunate accident.
Hey, Brian, we're getting close here. Yes, we do. Yeah, it's hard to tell because with the impact, as soon as that blade caught, it basically started the momentum of it going over. I think.
All right, guys, so this is the scene at the East River in New York where police and fire officials are still investigating this helicopter crash from last night. Killed 5 people, 6 people on board. The pilot survived. You can see the remnants right there in those aerial views of the helicopter. But I want to take you down now back to Austin. If you remember this morning, we were tracking the situation in Austin, Texas, where police say there was an explosion earlier this morning that killed a teenager and injured another teenager. Now there are reports right now, in this moment, in the last 30 minutes, of yet another explosion today, March 12th, in this time southeast Austin. Now the first one this morning was in northeast Austin, and 1 week ago on March 2nd was apparently in northeast Austin as well. So the east side of Austin, all happening concurrently with South by Southwest, the music festival that is occurring right now downtown in Austin. We're going to hear if we can get an update from our sister station down there. And of course, if officials say anything else, they'll provide us with more details. But I want to listen in to see what we can glean from this. But apparently, according to reports, a woman in her 70s was the second person reported to be injured after some events like this. Like I said, this morning, a teen has died from injuries after an explosion from a suspicious package on his or her doorstep. We know actually via Twitter that, check out this tweet recently by Chief Brian Manley, whom we heard from earlier this morning, saying, if you receive a package and you don't expect it or it looks suspicious, do not open it, call 911 immediately and retweet this, help us spread the word. He was sending out his heart to the family of the person who died this morning from the explosion. And again, as I'm mentioning, this is another incident that they're saying has occurred in Austin. So we're going to listen into this live shot from our sister station down in Austin to see what other details he can provide about this unfortunate situation. Something is going on down there, and it is dangerous, considered dangerous, to see a package and then open it if it's on your doorstep. They said earlier this morning that it was not linked to anything UPS, USPS related, and that they were trying to find out where these packages came from. So we're going to replay that press conference for you and listen in here to our Channel 7 Austin reporter.
Hi, my name is Casey Claiborne with Fox 7, and we're cutting into programming because we've got a very scary moment in Austin, Texas right now. Go ahead and take a look at what's going on. This is the third reported explosion in Austin over the past couple of weeks. Just a couple of weeks ago, we had a man who's approximately in his 30s pick up a package on his front porch, and it exploded and killed that man. Today, if you've been watching Fox 7, someone else did the same thing this morning in East Austin, picked up a package, it exploded in the house, it killed a 17-year-old young man, and now we are at a report of yet another explosion incident on Galindo Street in East Austin. It actually looks to be Vargas Road is where all of the law enforcement are here. But so a couple of weeks ago when this happened, we were trying to figure out what was going on because of this package. And police could not confirm at the time that it came in the mail, and actually they changed their minds a couple of days later and said that it's possible that man they couldn't rule out that he had constructed the device himself. But this morning, after the second incident happened, police say that they believe those two are now related. So the scary moment in Austin, Texas is that we may have some sort of a serial bomber in Austin, Texas right now. Again, we're in southeast Austin. This is Galindo Street. We're actually seem to be on Vargas Road where all the law enforcement are. The ATF has just rolled up along with EMS. According to EMS, a woman in her, let me check my notes here, a woman in her 70s was hurt, taken to a hospital. Also, a woman in her 80s was taken to a hospital for a medical call. So we're not completely sure yet that this is indeed another bombing. But police are investigating it as a reported bombing, and there is a huge law enforcement presence here right now. Obviously, police are really looking at whether that is it. I see the FBI here. So obviously they've been investigating that second incident this morning, and they've just come over here now. So not sure what's going on here, but Chief Manley with Austin Police said this morning that he can't rule out that it is a hate crime because there were some major similarities between the first incident and the second incident, saying that it was an African-American family. So again, he said that he could not rule out that it was a hate crime. We're not sure about the ethnicity of those that were injured at this third incident. So we're going to keep you posted on this. It's going to be a long day, very frightening day in Austin, Texas. Just a word of warning, if you have any sort of package on your front porch, best advice today is just leave it alone. Don't pick it up. Austin Police say this morning that they didn't believe that it said a company or postal service or anything like that on it today. So not sure what these packages say. But they did say this morning that the U.S. Postal Service, according to their records, did not send that package this morning. So bottom line, if you see a package, leave it alone. Scary day in Austin, Texas. We're going to keep you posted. Back to you.
It is quite a scary day in Austin, Texas. We're continuing to monitor this scene. That is the reporter from our sister station, Fox 7 in Austin. And you can see he broke into programming to talk about what is going on. So apparently an older woman this time. They're continuing to investigate that scene. You can see the tweet in the bottom left of your screen from the chief. Chief Brian Manley had some words to say earlier this morning. I'm going to play that out for you as we keep the scene in your lower left-hand corner to kind of keep up on what is happening here. If we find out more information or if anything else happens, we're going to break in live. But for now, listen into what the chief had to say this morning.
We have the United States Postal Service out here with us again on this investigation, given that this was a package that was on the doorstep. What we can tell you right now is the United States Postal Service has reviewed their records and that we do not believe that this was at all a delivery that came through the Postal Service. And we're checking with our other package delivery services as well. But the initial indication from them is that this was not a package that was delivered by any mail service. So it was placed on the front doorstep. The incident is very similar to the incident that occurred in Austin back on March 2nd. And if you'll remember, that incident also occurred in the morning hours when the victim in that case went out front and found a package on their front steps that exploded, causing that individual's death. That case was being investigated as a suspicious death. It is now being reclassified and is now a homicide investigation as well. We are looking at these incidents as being related based on similarities that we have seen in the initial evidence that we have on hand here today compared to what we found on the scene of that explosion that took place a week back. We are looking at anything that might tie these two together. But again, what we've seen on the initial review of this scene, and we're very early on in the investigation, there are similarities that we cannot rule out that these two incidents are in fact related. So with that, I want to put out some safety messages. First of all, we want the community to be aware that this has happened, and obviously there is the possibility that these are related. So if you find any suspicious packages on your front porch at your residence, do not handle them, but instead call 911 and let us come out and take a look at those packages and ensure that they are safe. Again, if you've received a package that you are not expecting, that is not from someone that you expected to receive a package from, or for some reason gives you cause for concern, then call 911 until we've gotten to the bottom of this and cleared these cases. Again, we believe that the possibility that they are related exists, and that's what you see behind us is a very concerted effort between all of the agencies you see represented here today, because we are not going to tolerate this in Austin, and you have seen every stop will be pulled out, and the federal agencies have all jumped in with us to lend us a hand and to bring this to as quick of a resolution as possible. So we've got the FBI's evidence recovery team is en route, along with the ATF's National Response Team. There will be a very large post-blast investigation that will take place at this residence. Through this investigation, we will gather all the evidence, collect the evidence, and get it into a lab so that it can be analyzed so that we can, again, have this case ready for prosecution once we find the individual or individuals that are responsible for this. So we, again, are in the early stages of this investigation. And as I've said, we do see similarities and believe that these cases are linked at this time. However, we don't know what the motive behind these may be. We do know that both of the homes that were the recipients of these packages belong to African Americans, so we cannot rule out that hate crime is at the core of this, but we're not saying that that's the cause as well. We're just acknowledging and we're looking at any possible motivations that would link these two cases together so that we can put this case together, understanding the victimology and who might these individuals have known and had in common. So that's the stage of the investigation where we're at now. And again, we are in the early phases. We will be out here most of the day collecting evidence. As you can imagine, with an explosion such as this, the damage is significant and there's a lot of evidence that needs to be collected. So right now, this investigation is being conducted as a joint operation between the Austin Police Department, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and the ATF, all working collaboratively along with our other federal partners to bring this case to a quick resolution. So I'll open it up for questions here in a moment, but again, at this point, there's not a lot more than we can put out based on the early stages of the investigation where we are.
Is there anything that stands out about these packages at this point?
So we're not going to go into the specifics of that other than to say that the initial evidence and the initial description that we have received are similar in both cases. So that's what we're looking at, but we're not going to go into the specifics of what those similarities are.
Have y'all identified any surveillance video from any of the surrounding neighborhoods?
We're doing a canvass of the neighborhood right now. We are looking at all of the residences that may have external video, and that is ongoing. So that will be part of the investigation.
Since the March 2nd explosion, Chief, is there anything that investigators have been able to identify about what type of explosive device this was?
So we do know what the explosive device was. We're not going to put that out now to protect the integrity of the investigation, but based on the expertise that comes to this investigation through not only our bomb squad, but through our federal partners with the FBI and the ATF, we've been able to piece together what we believe the construction of that first IED was, and that's what will take place again here today, is reconstructing what happened at this residence.
So you also know what the first explosive device was in the first incident, but also not telling us to protect the integrity of the investigation.
Correct.
You can say this is a threat to the public?
I want the public to be aware and to be cautious because, again, we have two cases that are very similar that have both resulted in a loss of life. And until we find who committed this act and take them into custody, then yes, it is appropriate for residents to be concerned if you receive a package you were not expecting, or if it's a package that's not marked appropriately, if it's not from someone that you know and you were not expecting, then it's better to be safe and give us a call and let us come out and take a look at it.
Now, at the last press conference for the first incident, Assistant Chief Judge said that terrorism, they did not believe was the motive in that incident. Is that the same belief for the second incident?
You know, there's no immediate indication from what we have on the scene, but again, we're early on in this. The fact that we believe there is a possibility that they are related, that's what we will look at now. Is there any specific ideology behind these offenses or any type, as I mentioned, a possible hate crime or anything? We're not saying that there is, but at this point we're looking at any possible avenue in these two cases.
Is it safe to say that these packages are being left overnight and when people wake up in the morning, they're there in the early hours of the morning?
That's what we believe early on, is that these packages are being delivered during the nighttime hours, and when the resident comes out front, they're finding them on the doorstep. So again, if you find yourself in that circumstance where you come out in the morning and you find a package on your doorstep, on your driveway, somewhere on your property that you were not expecting, that would be appropriate to call us.
Was there a second package on the scene? And did y'all examine it?
We had an initial report that there was a second package, but that package has in fact been cleared, and it was not at all related to this. It was just another package that was inside this residence.
How much of the neighborhood was evacuated?
We did a large evacuation on each side of the house and across the street. Again, early on, we were not certain whether or not that second package may also be an explosive device. So we had to clear out a good part of the neighborhood in an overabundance of caution to protect everyone's safety while we got the bomb squad in there to evaluate whether or not there was anything else that we needed to be concerned in the area of explosives.
We'll take one more. Can you speak at all to what
been marked with like Amazon or anything like that?
Do they look like your classic?
So both of your questions are about the same. So these packages are not at this point anything specific as far as a carrier or a vendor. But again, what the message really is to the community is if you've received a package that has been left on your doorstep or left in your yard or left on your driveway that you were not expecting or that was not from someone you know, then give us a call. These are not coming through the United States Postal Service that we've determined at this point. And again, the U.S. Postal Service inspector is on scene here with us today and was on scene with us on the prior incident as well. That's part of the ongoing investigation, the specifics of that. So that's what we're saying is if there's anything that looks out of place or suspicious, then let us know. Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to mention, guys, if you're joining us on our stream, we're live in Fox 5 DC inside the newsroom here. You're looking at this news conference with Chief Brian Manley from the Austin Police Department. That was earlier this morning. Right now, right below my face here on the left side of your screen, that's a live camera look at the scene of a third explosion in Austin. Let me back up quickly because I know some of you on the stream are asking what this is all about and who is involved. And it turns out, I'm going to take this away and quickly just switch our shot here. So I'm inside the newsroom for you and can chat with you a little more about what's going on. So this live camera is outside of Galindo Street, the 6700 block, after reports of yet another explosion in Austin related to a suspicious package left on a doorstep. So this was one that has purportedly injured a 70-year-old woman in the southeast area of Austin. Now this morning, one teenager is dead after a suspicious package exploded on a doorstep as well, and a woman involved in her 40s was injured. So one fatality there and one injury. I'm saying this is the third explosion because weeks ago, or actually a week and a half ago or so, on March 2nd, there was another explosion in Austin, similar and likely related, according to police, in the city of Austin. This was also in Northeast Austin, so the east side in general. And you can see we haven't yet had a news conference on this specific explosion. That earlier this morning from Chief Manley was the latest after the second explosion this morning. So it's a little confusing, but this is in total the third in 2 weeks in the city of Austin. So quite a scary situation in Austin. Yes, there has been one fatality, supposedly 2 injuries right now, or not including the first one. So that's 3 total injuries after that scene. And we're going to wait to see if police and federal authorities who are continuing to investigate this have another update for us. Again, live scene in Austin, quite scary during this time when South by Southwest Music Festival is going on strong in downtown Austin. So lots of people in town from out of town for that music festival. I know there's a lot of DC contacts as well. I'm trying to effort that and look up some of my people that I know are down there for this, covering it, but it is quite scary if this does continue. They're saying on their Twitter, Austin Police Department saying, hey, if you receive a package, make sure you don't open it. If you're not expecting it, if it looks suspicious, it may not be related to the UPS or to the USPS or FedEx. It was unmarked, and they say to call 911 immediately. So if you happen to be watching in that area, please do let us know how you are faring and what the scene is like down there. And then also note not to open any package that looks suspicious. So we're going to continue to monitor this scene, guys. In Austin, we'll bring you the latest from our digital newsroom. Meanwhile, guys, as you watch this scene unfold, as the investigation unfolds in Austin, check out on the right side of your screen. That's the helicopter involved in the crash in the East River last night, being extricated from the river. We saw earlier as the crane sort of pulled it out. Again, a very tragic, sad scene yesterday in the East River where 5 people who were harnessed into that helicopter crashed. 5 people have died. 1 person survived. The pilot survived that crash. And they're continuing to investigate that scene as well. They're trying to find out what went wrong on the helicopter or what went wrong as the pilot was steering over the river and eventually crashed down into it. Some type of flotation part of the helicopter may not have worked correctly. It caused the helicopter to sort of fold over and then submerge upside down. The passengers were not able to get out, and 5 of them, like I said, died. 1 person was able to get out. So that's the scene there live from New York City on the right side of your screen. Left side of your screen, continuing this sort of ground shot in Austin after this 3rd explosion in 2 weeks due to some sort of suspicious package explosion on people's porches. Now, the chief of police, Brian Manley, did say earlier this morning this could possibly be, and they're looking into this, a hate crime. 2 of the people involved in the incident this morning were African American, the teenage boy who died, and then the woman in her 40s, both of them African American. They're trying to find if there are some relations or relativity to the 2 incidents, both today and the one a few weeks ago on March 2nd. So more details surrounding that to come out later today. We're going to listen for more updates from police down in Austin.
much less also what is happening here throughout the world.
All right, guys, we're going to continue following this scene and bring you back into the newsroom here at Fox 5 DC for just a moment. We are watching for any updates on this third explosion in Austin, Texas. Really scary scene down there this morning. This is a third explosion in Austin related to suspicious packages exploding on people's porches in the month. So this is the second explosion today, the third of the month. And some of you guys are mentioning, maybe you have some questions about what's happening. If the people have been identified, so far they have not. We do not have names of those injured, of the fatality, of course, this morning. But we know a 17-year-old boy was killed in one of these explosions. A 40-year-old woman who was accompanying him or next to him or somehow involved in that first explosion this morning was injured and brought to the hospital. And then just recently, this third explosion involved a 70-year-old woman. We don't have her identification right now. Like I said, we're going to continue to follow this scene. And if you have not been sort of up on what's going on, we're going to replay the press conference from Chief of Police Brian Manley, who explained what they know of the situation this morning. Again, the other explosion dates back to March 2nd, so it really was about 10 days ago or so. So this is the third explosion in the month, second explosion today. And they're saying they are investigating this as a homicide for that boy who died this morning. They're also investigating to see if this was somehow revolved around hate, a hate crime in some way, or if these explosions are interconnected. They have not confirmed yet that they are, but they have a suspicion that they are related. So we're going to play out what he had to say this morning.
Explosion. We immediately had police officers responding, along with the Austin Fire Department and Austin Travis County EMS services. Upon arrival, the police officers, the EMS technicians, and firefighters went to the residence. And what we found was an explosion had occurred inside the residence. There were two people that had been injured. One of those persons has died of their injuries. We believe this person to be a 17-year-old male. The other was an adult female who was transported to a local hospital with what we believe to be non-life-threatening injuries. What we understand at this point is that early this morning, one of the residents went out front and there was a package on the front doorstep. They brought that package inside the residence, and as they opened that package, both victims were in the kitchen and the package exploded, causing the injuries that resulted in the young man's death and the injuries to the adult female. This incident is being investigated right now by the Austin Police Department's Homicide Division as a homicide. What you see behind us is a very strong representation from both the FBI along with the ATF. We have the United States Postal Service out here with us again on this investigation, given that this was a package that was on the doorstep. What we can tell you right now is the United States Postal Service has reviewed their records and that we do not believe that this was at all a delivery that came through the Postal Service. And we're checking with our other package delivery services as well, but the initial indication from them is that this was not a package that was delivered by any mail service. So it was placed on the front doorstep. The incident is very similar to the incident that occurred in Austin back on March 2nd. And if you'll remember, that incident also occurred in the morning hours when the victim in that case went out front and found a package on their front steps that exploded, causing that individual's death. That case was being investigated as a suspicious death. It is now being reclassified and is now a homicide investigation as well. We are looking at these incidents as being related based on similarities that we have seen in the initial evidence that we have on hand here today compared to what we found on the scene of that explosion that took place a week back. We are looking at anything that might tie these two together, but again, what we've seen on the initial review of this scene, and we're very early on in the investigation, there are similarities that we cannot rule out that these two incidents are in fact related. So with that, I want to put out some safety messages. First of all, we want the community to be aware that this has happened, and obviously there's the possibility that these are related. So if you find any suspicious packages on your front porch at your residence, do not handle them. but instead call 911 and let us come out and take a look at those packages and ensure that they are safe. Again, if you've received a package that you were not expecting, that is not from someone that you expected to receive a package from, or for some reason gives you cause for concern, then call 911 until we've gotten to the bottom of this and cleared these cases. Again, we believe that the possibility that they are related exists, and that's what you see behind us is a very concerted effort between all of the agencies you see represented here today, because we are not going to tolerate this in Austin, and you have seen every stop will be pulled out, and the federal agencies have all jumped in with us to lend us a hand and to bring this to as quick of a resolution as possible. So we've got the FBI's evidence recovery team is en route, along with the ATF's national response team. There will be a very large post-blast investigation that will take place at this residence. Through this investigation, we will gather all the evidence, collect the evidence, and get it into a lab so that it can be analyzed so that we can, again, have this case ready for prosecution once we find the individual or individuals that are responsible for this. So we, again, are in the early stages of this investigation. And as I've said, we do see similarities and believe that these cases are linked at this time. However, we don't know what the motive behind these may be. We do know that both of the homes that were the recipients of these packages belong to African Americans, so we cannot rule out that hate crime is at the core of this, but we're not saying that that's the cause as well. We're just acknowledging and we're looking at any possible motivations that would link these two cases together so that we can put this case together, understanding the victimology and who might these individuals have known and had in common. So that's the stage of the investigation where we're at now. And again, we are in the early phases. We will be out here most of the day collecting evidence. As you can imagine, with an explosion such as this, the damage is significant and there's a lot of evidence that needs to be collected. So right now, this investigation is being conducted as a joint operation between the Austin Police Department, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and the ATF, all working collaboratively along with our other federal partners to bring this case to a quick resolution. So I'll open it up for questions here in a moment, but again, at this point, there's not a lot more than we can put out based on the early stages of the investigation where we are.
Is there anything that stands out about these packages at this time?
So we're not going to go into the specifics of that other than to say that the initial evidence and the initial description that we have received are similar in both cases. So that's what we're looking at, but we're not going to go into the specifics of what those similarities are.
Have y'all identified any surveillance video from any of the surrounding neighborhood homes?
We're doing a canvass of the neighborhood right now. We are looking at all of the residences that may have external video, and that is ongoing. So that will be part of the investigation.
Since the March 2nd explosion, Chief, is there anything that investigators have been able to identify about what type of explosive device this was?
So we do know what the explosive device was. We're not going to put that out now to protect the integrity of the investigation, but based on the expertise that comes to this investigation through not only our bomb squad, but through our federal partners with the FBI and the ATF, we've been able to piece together what we believe the construction of that first IED was, and that's what will take place again here today, is reconstructing what happened at this residence.
So you also know what the first explosive device was in the first incident, but also not telling us to protect the integrity of the investigation.
Correct.
You can say this is a threat to the public?
I want the public to be aware and to be cautious because, again, we have two cases that are very similar that have both resulted in a loss of life. And until we find who committed this act and take them into custody, then yes, it is appropriate for residents to be concerned if you receive a package you were not expecting, or if it's a package that's not marked appropriately, if it's not from someone that you know and you were not expecting, then it's better to be safe and give us a call and let us come out and take a look at it.
Now, in the last press conference for the first incident, Assistant Chief Judge Owen said that terrorism, they did not believe was the motive in that incident. Is that the same belief for the second incident?
You know, there's no immediate indication from what we have on the scene, but again, we're early on in this. The fact that we believe there is a possibility that they are related, that's what we will look at now. Is there any specific ideology behind these offenses, or any type, as I mentioned, a possible hate crime or anything. We're not saying that there is, but at this point we're looking at any possible avenue in these two cases.
Is it safe to say that these packages are being left overnight and then people wake up in the morning, they're there in the early hours of the morning?
That's what we believe early on, is that these packages are being delivered during the nighttime hours, and when the resident comes out front, they're finding them on the doorstep. So again, if you find yourself in that circumstance where you come out in the morning and you find a package on your doorstep, on your driveway, somewhere on your property that you were not expecting, that would be appropriate to call us.
Was there a second package on the scene? And did y'all examine that?
We had an initial report that there was a second package, but that package has in fact been cleared, and it was not at all related to this. It was just another package that was inside this residence.
How much of the neighborhood was evacuated?
We did a large evacuation on each side of the house and across the street. Again, early on, we were not certain whether or not that second package may also be an explosive device. So we had to clear out a good part of the neighborhood in an overabundance of caution to protect everyone's safety while we got the bomb squad in there to evaluate whether or not there was anything else that we needed to be concerned in the area of explosives.
We'll take one more. Can you speak at all to
Packages
what
been
these
marked with
packages
like Amazon or anything like that?
Do they look like there's plastic?
So both of your questions are about the same. So these packages are not, at this point, anything specific as far as a carrier or a vendor. But again, what the message really is to the community is if you've received a package that has been left on your doorstep or left in your yard or left on your driveway that you were not expecting or that was not from someone you know, then give us a call. These are not coming through the United States Postal Service that we've determined at this point. And again, the U.S. Postal Service inspector is on scene here with us today and was on scene with us on the prior incident as well. That's part of the ongoing investigation, the specifics of that. So that's what we're saying is if there's anything that looks out of place or suspicious, then let us know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you also ruling out the GPS?
All right, guys, we're back in the studio here at Fox 5 DC. I want to remind you that was the latest news conference from Austin Police. That's Chief Brian Manley with the updates on this morning's explosion. No new information since then. So unfortunately, that was just sort of a piece we had to repeat, but it gave you sort of the crux of information of what has gone on today. Now, I'm monitoring the Austin Police Department Twitter, Chief Brian Manley's Twitter as well. Nothing new as of earlier this morning when we showed you his remarks about his hearts and prayers going out to the people that are dealing with this, the family and the individual who died in this explosion. So unfortunately, not a lot of new information for you, but you can see the scene is ongoing there. Lots of police presence, EMT, caution tape, everything going on there in Northeast Austin. So quite a scary scene, guys. The city of Austin is on very high alert right now, dealing with this suspicious package explosion incident, multiple incidents over the past month. Twice in one day today. We're going to continue to monitor this, guys, and if we have anything new, we'll bring that to you on our social media and on our website. And I want to remind you that we are here daily on the weekdays from 11:30 to around 2 o'clock today. We went a little later because we are streaming this important breaking news information, but because it's sort of subsided for now, we don't have a lot of new info. We are going to just roll it out with a last feed of a protest going on in San Diego right now. There's an anti-Trump protest going on over in California, but I want to remind you, we will be streaming as much as we can, including possibly the White House press briefing, which is coming up. There's a live look inside the briefing room now. Coming up at 2:30 Eastern time, we'll be streaming that to our Facebook page. You can follow us there. And then, of course, anything else that breaks, we throw it up on our Facebook page. We'll have articles, web stories updated on our website, fox5dc.com. And then we're here every weekday from 11:30 to around 2 p.m. or so Eastern time. And I'm Molly Nevola in the digital studio. Very happy to have some of you guys on with us. I know it was quite kind of a crazy day, jostling all around from different feeds, but we are going to see if we can bring you that protest. I see it on right now from San Diego to roll it out for you. And we'll catch you again tomorrow around 11:30. But again, guys, the Austin information, the explosion pretty much dominating our coverage today. If we have anything else on that, we'll make sure we jump in and bring that to you live. So we'll catch you again tomorrow, guys. Here's the protest going on in San Diego. Listen in.
When I'm watching that video, because I had my own mother detained. In 6 months, I didn't see her. My mother, who's done nothing to no one, placed in detention centers, a detention camp. For what? For having a dream to come to a country that promised her, if you come here and you oblige by the rules and you give back and you stay committed to who you are and you give back to the country, you will be accepted. They promised her that. And when she came here, they threw her in jail. Why? Because we lack a piece of paper? As if a piece of paper gives you value, determines your Americanness, not the fact that I was raised in this country. Though this country didn't give birth to me, it nurtured me. It nourished me. It taught me the things I know. It made me who I am today. So I am here to stand up and tell the president that we don't need walls. We need bridges. That you are hurting our communities. You promised us a bill of love. You told us that you stand with the immigrant community. And everything you're doing is extremely harmful, wasteful, and hateful. And I also want to tell everybody that tomorrow, immigrant youth will be standing against this president to let him know that we will not follow through or stand with his hateful rhetoric. We will be at the Waterfront Park, 5:30. I want everybody to come out and join us and stand with us and stand with our community and show your support. We appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you guys so much for having me here. Thank you.